Okay, I learned something. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. This is the public information meeting for the Jelinek Alderson roundabout. My name is Isaac Nolan. I'm the staff engineer here with the Village of Weston. We have the Director of Public Works, Michael Wadowski, here as well, and Jamie Haber, our village administrator. So thank you for coming. I'm going to try to get through this information, just a brief presentation. If we come to some questions as we're going through it, otherwise you can hold the questions at the end, or I'll have a slide there. Talk about the project history, the overview of the project and how that kind of operates on these reconstruction projects, the schedule, some, not too many, but special assessment if there are a couple driveways, and then we'll get to questions. So this is our Public Works Department with Michael, myself, and then we also have a streets superintendent and our utility superintendent. They couldn't be here tonight, but are able and available for questions as well if you have anything outside this meeting. So in regards to the project history, back in 2022 is when discussions about this and first initialized with the project, and it was around tax increment district and Schofield Avenue corridor plan when those discussions were taking place. So that's when it first came up in discussions with the board, and also when Greenheck Turner Community Center was first, I guess, announced as being a possible thing or something that was coming. So then in 2024, it started picking up, and they wanted traffic impact analysis done on the intersection, which is what provided the recommendations essentially that we went off of. One was kind of a more, I guess, elaborate four-way stop than what is there right now. There would have been more dedicated turning lanes and stuff like that. And then there was a roundabout. Now the roundabout provided a compact roundabout, apologize, that provided more, I guess, convenient flow for traffic during low events where you're just yielding and then you can keep going if there's no one you're waiting for. So in 2025, we got the go to start planning for this project and got MSA Professional Services on board to help with the roundabout design. They designed the one that's at Weston Avenue and Alderson right now on the south side of the school. So essentially they helped us prepare the roundabout for this. And then there's additional improvements that we're doing as a result of the roundabout, but also just because the infrastructure around that intersection is kind of in need of some TLC. So in 2026, well, end of 2025, we started on the design, and 2026, we'll be putting this out for bidding, and contractor will start on it this summer. This one in particular, the plan is for construction to fall during when school is out of session. So between May and the end of August.
Middle of August.
Middle of August. Okay, you're right. So is there anything you want to add on these?
No.
All right, so in particular with this intersection, we have sanitary sewer, drinking water, and we have storm sewer in there. Because of the reconfiguration of that intersection, storm sewer has to be adjusted. And then there's also, just based on the way the intersection was, there's manholes for the sanitary and there's water valves for the drinking water that are in that intersection. Those have to get kind of moved out of there so that they're not in the wheel path of people going through there. It's just, we don't want cars going through there and again, the dump, dump, dump as they're going through the intersection. So those are going to get adjusted as part of this project as well. There's, I think it's 5 or 6 properties where their sanitary lateral on Jelinek will get reconnected. We actually right now we have 2 sanitary sewers on Jelinek. We're trying to eliminate the one, so there's only one that we have to worry about and maintain versus 2. So we have the ability to connect to that other sanitary sewer, and that's where some of that work will take place. And then some also water main work so that we don't have to go back into this intersection when future work would be done on Alderson. So I can talk about that if you have any questions about some of those side street improvements. This plan, I pretty much, or that little exhibit there, is printed out. We have two of them up here. There's one here, and then there's one here. There's two separate images, but it's the same roundabout. So one is Jelinek looking left to right. The other one is looking at Alderson left to right. So, if you have any questions when you look at that, please let me know. So when it comes to the actual project, when they start doing this, first step, they're going to start removing so they can get to the utilities. Utilities are usually the main first capital improvement that they start dealing with because you have to dig up the ground and then backfill and recompact that before you can build anything on top of it. So we got, like I mentioned before, sanitary, water, and storm that are going to get adjusted. And then we'll start rebuilding the road. Now the road is going to, at the intersection, shift a little bit. So you'll see some of the road kind of going into Kennedy Park's corner a little bit more. But with the design, tried to minimize the impacts as much as they could to the other three quadrants of the intersection. And then the very last step would be restoring any disturbance that was taking place to get these improvements in and make sure everything's topsoil, seeded, fertilized, and ready for restoration. So right here is just a quick schematic of the general schedule. We'll be finishing up the design here in the coming month, getting that out to contractors and asking those contractors to submit their pre-qualification statements to get qualified to do any work in the village for the year. Once those have been evaluated and they've been either approved or not approved for bidding, then they can submit their bids. At that point, we'll open those bids publicly and select the lowest, or review the bids and select the lowest bidder that's responsible for the construction. And then hopefully with all that, once we get through April, start construction once school lets out as soon as possible and start construction on all that right away. I don't know, they may potentially, contractors sometime ask if they can get started on maybe some side street stuff if it's not going to be detrimental to traffic, but that would be only determined at that. And then for special assessments, I include this slide. There's really not a lot on this project. There's only 2 driveways that are actually impacted as part of this, and those are in the southeast corner of the intersection, just because the roundabout and the curb and gutter for that go right through there, and the sidewalk was getting adjusted as well coming through there. So it's all within the right of way, but to improve that apron as we're coming through there so we don't have to do that at a later date. I guess in summary, special assessments were done. They're done differently in every community. In our community, we only assess for the driveway apron within the right of way. And other communities will assess for their portion of the curb and gutter or the concrete, any other concrete that might be on that project, the road itself, the utilities on that. All that was kind of removed here in 2018 to 2021 for the village. And I guess the community as a whole helps pay for these infrastructure projects that the community as a whole needs. So everyone is helping out with these projects. It's not just the responsibility of the individuals 100% that are on that project. So trying to alleviate the stress on everyone within the village of Weston. So yeah, actually got through that one pretty quick there. So that's my contact information. It's also in that letter that got sent out, but all open for questions on the project. Yes.
I'm Greg Schilling. I'll represent Mount Olive Lutheran. So clarify for me, is this roundabout the same size as the one on the south side of Weston and Alderson?
Yes.
Same size?
Yeah.
Okay. Seems like a pretty quick timeline here of 3 months, but that one take quite a bit longer.
There was, okay, you want to talk about that? Or
so this is essentially just the roundabout. The other project on Alderson and Weston Avenue that included not just the intersection of Weston Ave and Alderson, it also included water main and road work from Weston Avenue to Summit Avenue, which was 2 blocks of roadway as well. So that was a more infrastructure than just what this is, a more targeted at just that,
And
just the
that,
intersection.
and that also had storm, all new storm sewer improvements and ditching and multi-use path, all going on Weston Ave over to Birch. So
Yeah.
that project was like three different projects all crammed into one, which made it, a much longer project.
Yeah, and then the roundabout portion of that project on Alderson Street actually was completed from school out to school in. Weston Avenue itself maybe wasn't open, but Alderson Street was completed at least to binder before it was completely finished.
And that would be the stipulation on this contract when it goes out to public bid, is that they need to have this done for school resumes in the fall.
That's my reason for asking too, just traffic pattern with us off Alderson.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I mean, detour wise, Park Ridge is likely going to be a spot that gets used out to Labrador to get back to Jelinek. Going the other way, some people might go to Birch Street or they might go over to Alta Verde to try to get north on either side of Jelinek there, or they might try to use Delikowski to Joseph to get back to Alderson Street. There are different options around. I don't know if we have necessarily a distinct detour set. Probably using Park Ridge, Labrador, Jelinek to Birch. Schofield Ave is probably what would be signed as kind of the official detour, but I know locals will likely find other ways to snake through there. Unfortunately, with the Highway 29 crossing, there's not a lot of there is no other street besides Park Ridge on the south side of Jelinek, unless you want to go across the highway and go over to Volkman or something else.
Other questions?
Is there gonna be restrictions on Alderson during the construction, parking, other things?
So there is a section of curb that we're looking to replace on Alderson, kind of near the church there, across from the school, just because it's eaten up. It's a little.
Yeah, the edges where the asphalt pavement meet, those are kind of deteriorating pretty bad.
This section up there. So while that work is going on, there might be, that maybe is a 2-week period where we'd want to be away, but otherwise, realistically, this is the project limit here. So, the contractor might want to utilize some of this spot to store their materials, equipment, stuff like that. But in essence, it probably will be a dead end road for a little while. So we wanted to utilize that for parking. I know Sunday mornings or even Wednesday nights, things like that is full of vehicles generally on Alderson. So yeah, I don't see that being something that can't happen, except for just maybe the week or two when some of that curb work gets replaced.
Yeah, during that time period, where the ones nice there were off those, so that'd be good.
Yeah.
And there might be some minor restoration when they pull that curb out. It'll disturb the topsoil and everything behind it, so they'll put new topsoil in and new seed. So I guess if people are stepping out onto that, it might be a little soft or whatnot initially, but after a few weeks, that'll start setting and growing again. So that'll be more towards the end of the project though, at that point.
Yeah, hopefully then, after this summer, as people are leaving, church in the morning, they aren't going to be the 30th car in line waiting and having that slow queue to and from. So.
I live just east of the intersection of Alderson and Jelinek. I actually rent my place, but my landlord actually asked me to come tonight just to find out what impact, if any, would have on his property. I actually live in the 4th condo off of that intersection of Jelinek, and obviously that.
The Pine Ridge condos?
No, they're.
Are you 2511?
I'm 2519.
2519. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so you're further down.
Yeah, I'm in the furthest condo away from that intersection.
Yeah.
And also my neighbor owns his side of the condo. He also couldn't be here tonight, so I guess I'm here fact finding for those guys to find out what, if any, impact would be on that property.
So, and that, I guess that's the part I didn't mention, so there is some real estate on this project to get this roundabout in. The impact to that condo association, there's a permanent easement that we're gonna put in, and there's a low spot looking like on that property, looking towards the intersection, there's a low spot there that water tends to collect that we've seen.
Yeah,
So we were just going to pop. So, pop some of the sidewalk out and get an inlet basin there, so essentially in that low spot, put a catch basin so that water has a way to get out and to sit there the whole time, so it's an easement, you still own it, it's just gives us access to that structure there that we own. And we just allow us to gain access to an easement, clean out or anything like that, so it keeps draining.
Yeah.
And it
I think
doesn't
that's
get back.
Pastor West, primarily his property. I know water is like a nice little pond in there certain times of the year.
Yeah,
That's
it's
his property.
easily a foot lower than the sidewalk and
Yeah.
it just gets dammed up at the sidewalk, so. Not sure, I think the sidewalk got put in at the curb pipe, came through and there was some low spots along the way, so we're trying to pick up some of those.
Gotcha.
To improve that, otherwise, that's the only real. So he, if anything, or the condo as a whole would be asked to okay that permanent land easement, so we could put that little 12 or 15-inch structure in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess the sewer lateral for that
Lateral.
condo looks like it's getting reconnected. So there may be a, you know,
But that would be-
a 1 day thing where we would ask not to, or try to limit water use as they reconnect the lateral to the other, sewer main.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, pretty minimal actually in front of that property.
Okay, all right.
So because of these sporadic kind of improvements along Alderson and Jelinek, which don't really impact the properties too significantly, I think it's what I'm saying. That's the reason why everyone got a letter, just to give you a heads up that this is taking place, but impact should be pretty minimal other than just not being able to pass through the intersection itself. When the sanitary work and the water work's being done, they'll shut off the water valves at the intersection, so there might be some short duration water shutoffs. Contractors we've seen, they kind of build everything, the whole pipe assembly up on grade, and they try to minimize how much that water is shut off, so they do it as quickly as they can. So, but you would get a notice from the village prior to that would be taking place. And oh yeah, sorry. And then the other thing is we do meet with the contractor on a weekly basis. So we're always getting an updated schedule, what they're planning to do next. And your email or phone number that you leave with us is contact information, so we can let you know and give you updates when something like that that's concerning or not concerning, that would impact your water or your service, so you're aware ahead of time, so you can plan accordingly.
That's it. All right. Yeah, I guess we do have visual aids up here. If you want to take a closer look at it, we'll get these uploaded as well as the presentation online. And I guess, yeah, if you have other future questions, don't hesitate to ever ask or reach out.
Same.
These are the same, yeah. You usually try to have 2 stations so that if you end up with 20 people here, you can.
Right. And we do have, and I forgot to mention this in the other one, we do have project websites, so if you have access to internet, you can
Where I am.
see
right here.
updates.
Yeah.
My neighbor Todd, he owns his place, but he drives trucks